I'm Pam Pogson, and I'm from Meridian Elementary, and I'm going to do a demonstration today on keeping goals alive in the classroom that we do every day. So, Madison, we're going to do our reading conference. Can you tell me again what you think your goal is that you're working on in reading?
Inferring.
And what part of inferring have you been struggling with the most?
Evidence.
So, giving evidence. So, how do you feel like you've been doing with that?
Kind of good. Kind of good.
Have you had any chance where you've had actual, yes, I found the evidence to support my reading?
Yeah.
And is that in your most recent reading?
Yeah.
Okay, so can you give me an example of that?
This character in my book, Natalie, she met this girl on the bus who was really quiet. Her name's Alyssa, and I thought that they were going to be really good friends at camp because they had the same interests in a lot of stuff, and that Alyssa was laughing at all of her kind of everything that she said.
Okay, so your inference is that they would be
Friends.
at camp, and your evidence for that is what?
That because they have the same interests and everything.
Okay, so that is a good example of inferring with evidence. So I look back on my notes and you reminded me that you've already read this book, right? Is that true? That this is the second time you've read this, or it's the second book in the series?
This is the second book in the series.
Okay, so you haven't read this book before?
No, this one I haven't read.
Perfect. So we're going to say that you have right now shown one example of inferring with evidence, okay? So we're going to write that we have one example so far. How many examples do you think you need to say that, yes, I really understand this goal and I'm ready to move on? So how many times do you think you'd have to come to conference and show me that you know what you're doing on this goal?
I'd say pretty much until I can finish that, maybe at the end or when I'm halfway through and I have like more than one inference or so.
So how many times do we need to confer on it? Let me reword it for you so we understand the question. How many times do you need to show me that you can do inferring with evidence before we say, yes, you have this goal and we'll set a new goal? What do you think would be a comfortable number for you?
Like maybe once I'm getting more than one evidence and I'm really like fluently with it and not just having to think about what I think the evidence is.
Okay. So is there a number for that, or you just want to say that, no, I feel really fluent with it, I can do it now?
Yeah,
I
feel like
Okay. So I would say, yes, that's true. You should be fluent with it. But when you come to a conference and we're talking about your goal, I want to see your goal at least 3 times very independently. So you're using fluent, I'm using independently. So quickly, fluently, at least 3 times before we say, okay, let's look and see what other goal we can work on. Okay, so today when you go out and read, you're going to look for more inferences with evidence. Because you've got the inferring down, it's now finding the evidence, right?
Okay.
Okay. Hi, I'm Pam Pogson, and today we're going to be demonstrating a goal-setting conference and what that looks like. We're doing just a brief part of that. Madison and her mom are here for conferences, and we've already kind of talked about her reading goals, so we're going to talk about her math goals at this time. So we have just finished our Unit 2 test, and Madison did very well on that test. She met her goal of comparing and ordering numbers. We use the standards, and what's highlighted, if it was circled, it was something she was still working on at home.
Okay.
So on the last test, she proved that that goal had come true, so we highlighted through that. On that unit test, what's your math goal now, Madison? What are we working on now?
Being fluent.
Being fluent with multiplying and dividing decimals.
Oh, decimals. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
And so she's got her basic math facts down, but
Okay.
once we threw the decimals in there, it became a little more of an issue for her. So her goal now that we work on every day in class is to fluently add and or multiply and divide decimals. And so you could help at home by giving her extra practice problems with that, or just reinforcing her math facts so that when she sees it in a different frame, that it doesn't throw her.
Okay,
as
so
much.
when you say in a different, you mean like in a problem-solving
Right,
question
problem
type
solving,
of
or
thing?
even when now that we've thrown in decimals, she knows her math facts, but then now there's a decimal there, and so it's like she's not as confident with her math facts because
Okay.
of that.
So, is there a website or something I can go to help find some things, or
Well, she
just work on her homework, or?
or even just if you gave her extra problems, or I could send extra problems with her to practice. There are several math websites that are on the web page that you could go to.
Oh, okay.
And just have her practice those.
Okay.
So because she knows them, it's just not very fluent for her yet. And so she needs to be more fluent as we go through these higher concepts.
And we can talk about what you would rather do, whether you'd rather do it on the computer or whether you'd rather, maybe we can switch off kind of different nights. That sound like a good idea?
And then she has a copy of this in her notebook as well, so you could always check that, and we highlight them off as she masters them.
Okay.
So right now, her goal is going to be fluently and accurately
Okay,
work on
so
them
if
while
it's
flying
circled,
into
it's
the-
one we're working on.
Right.
If it's highlighted, we're done.
She's mastered that.
Okay. Great.
My name is Courtney Tomfor, and I'm a second grade teacher at Meridian Elementary, and we are going to do an example of a February goal setting conference for you. And this is Jackson and his mom. So we are going to talk about our reading goals right now. So, Jackson, so you started the first grade reading at the end of first grade, reading at a 1.9. And now here in February, you are up to a 2.2. In October, you were at a 1.7 and you went to a 2.2. So you have grown 5 months in your reading. That is awesome.
That's
I know, it's
exciting.
very good. So the strategies that we've been using are to use all of those accuracy strategies interchangeably. Can you tell your mom what are some of those things that we do?
Stretching them out, chunking, and skipping, come back to it.
I've
Yes.
seen you do some of that at home a little bit. Yeah, you
Yeah.
told me some of those too.
So what I'm trying to get them to use, like I said, is just continue to use those accuracy reading strategies interchangeably. And all of those are taken from our CAF-A menu, which I think I've shown you before, but I will grab it for you really quickly. And what I also noticed that Jackson is really good at when he's reading, and if it doesn't make sense, tell your mom what you do when you're reading.
I
at
try
second grade.
another strategy over and over until it makes sense.
So you keep going to get the word right and make sure that it fits.
So if it doesn't make sense, you always stop and you go back and you reread and you fix it up, don't you? He's really good about always thinking about what he's reading. So, yeah, he's doing a great job. So I thought a good goal for him, and by the end of second grade, is to be at a 2.8, which means second grade, 8th month. And I think by continuing to apply all of those strategies and spending a lot of time reading like he does, he'll make that goal. So,
Okay, great.
yeah. And I can show you the cafe menu too as well. So here we go right here. So these are the strategies right here that we're working on, cross-checking, do the pictures and the words match. Does it look right? Sorry, look right, sound right, and make sense. Do the words and pictures match? Use beginning and ending sounds. And these you all know about because you've been using those. Blend the sounds together, flip the sound, chunk the letters, skip the word, and then come back and reread it. And you mentioned that one, right? And then guess the word that makes sense.
What does flip the sounds mean?
What what was flip the sound mean?
Is one letter like A, instead of using I, you use what's its name is like A.
Okay. So if it's like the word, you said bat and maybe it's bait or something like that. Okay.
Or mad or made.
Oh, okay.
So
That
trying
makes
the
sense.
different vowel sounds, or sometimes C can say k, and other times it says like, sometimes it says. Yep.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep. So, and we usually use a hand motion to help us remember that one. What is that? Do you know? Remember? Flip the sound. Yeah. So we can try to practice
Flipping a
flipping the
pancake.
sound. Yeah. Yeah. So, do you have any other questions for me? And we can move on to writing.
No, I think that's fantastic. I'm just excited to know that he's where he's supposed to be.
Yeah, he's doing
that
a
he's
great
kind
job.
of on track to make it his goal for the end of the year.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm proud of him.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kelly Yar, and I teach a 1-2 looping grade at Meridian Elementary, and I'm in my second grade of the loop. And this is
Oma.
and she's one of my second graders. And what we want to just share is how I do Writers Workshop conferring, keeping the writing goal alive throughout the semester until we meet in February. So Beaumont and I will just show you how we do a conference, a conferring during Writers Workshop. So, Beaumont, we were taught, let's take out your writing and let's take a look at what you're working on. So this is your story here. Which story would you like to share with me? And do you remember what one of our goals is to work on? What are we working on?
Ending marks.
Using ending marks? Okay. So let's take a look at this story and see if we remember to put ending marks in our story. Okay? Can you read it for me?
One day I was going to my friend's Emily's house. I was so happy, but my mom said, "We cannot go." "Why?" I said.
Okay, let's stop right there and let's go back to the beginning. And when do we put an ending mark in? When do we use them?
When we need it.
When we need it, and when do we need it? At the end of
At
your
sentence.
And then so I know when to stop. So let's take a look here and let's see if we put our period in the right spot. So,
One day I was going to my friend's Emily's house.
did we stop? So what do we need there?
Period.
Can you go ahead and put a period there? Okay, then we have this.
I
was-
was.
Is that where our ending mark should go? I was?
No.
Okay, what's your
I was so happy, but my mom said we cannot go.
What do we need?
Period.
Period. Go put your period there. So you know what I'm going to have you do, Beaumont? I'm going to have you go back to your seat and finish reading this. And whenever we stop or pause, that's where you're going to put your period. Okay, can you do that for me?
Yes.
Okay. And then we'll meet again and we'll finish reading and writing this story. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.